Good morning, everyone. Mark here from the Christchurch video team. I'll have to admit I've been struggling with a subject for this week, and I prayed that God would give me a topic, and I'm sure you know the rest of the story. Yep, I was sitting at home after a long day of work and received a call from Janie Carl. Janie had received a call from David Swackhammer, who had received a call from Robert Bryant of Oak Hill. So the title of our video for today is Links in a Bicycle Chain versus Life. Can you see the links already? Well, there's more to the story, so let's get on with it. Mr. Bryant had an older gentleman come to his business in Oak Hill who was an 83-year-old Air Force veteran and retired reporter of the Miami Herald. But the unusual part was that he was riding a bicycle. As they talked, the gentleman introduced himself as William Miner and how he had been on a quest to cross America on his bicycle with a twofold purpose. One, as he traveled from the Outer Banks, Tidewater, Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Ohio, he visited with people and discussed the weather, his faith in God, and he was taking notes about historical events along the way. His plans is, as he researches weather and the changes in the weather, is to write a couple of books about his travels. Number two, along with his travels, he sometimes has the opportunity to meet with parents of veterans who had their sons or daughters die in combat. And he would share his faith as well as his compassion for their son or daughter's sacrifice. He carries with him a tightly rolled up insignia of a sergeant that he knew who had died in combat. And he was able to provide some closure for the family on his trip as he made a visit with them. It was a very hot day and humidity was high, and as they talked, Mr. Bryant discovered that the veteran needed his bicycle repaired to continue on his journey. Mr. Bryant felt compassion and wanted to get help for Mr. Miner, but wasn't sure who to call. Well, everybody knows that that's where Janie comes in, because if there is someone to need or require help, people call Janie, because Janie knows who to call to get help. Another very important link. So Mr. Bryant also wanted to see if someone was able to help Mr. Miner with a place to stay and a meal. However, Mr. Miner was having nothing to do with a handout. And as they discussed it, he became a little irritated at Mr. Bryant for attempting to offer him a handout. So here's where I come into the story along with my family. Janie calls me and my wife Kathy, and we discuss the situation, and Janie asks if we have any insight to assist with the problem. And we made plans to meet everyone when they arrived in Jackson. Another link. She informed me that Mr. Bryant had convinced the veteran to put his bike into the truck and take him to Jackson. Thus, plans were made to meet at the Days Inn at 5:30. Knowing the situation, Kathy, myself, and Matt grabbed some homemade cookies, a God is Good hat, and off we went. We arrived before anyone else and went into the office to see if they had a room available. Luckily, they did. Kathy and Matt went over to LaRosa's to get a gift card for his dinner. The wonderful young lady at the desk was more than understanding about how Mr. Miner was not to think of this as a handout. We gave her the cookies, the hat, the gift card, and ask her to present them to him along with his room key when he arrived, because we made all the arrangements before he even got there. As we waited, we received a call from Mr. Bryant, who thought we were at a different motel or hotel. And after we straightened all that out, Mr. Miner arrived. And I thanked him for his service as a fellow Air Force veteran. We unloaded his bike and assisted him in getting into his room. He carefully had us put a towel at the end of the bed so the bike wouldn't get the bed sheets dirty, and then asked us to pray with him. Mr. Bryant also made a contact with Mr. David Toland of AMVETS, who had offered to meet with Mr. Miner later that evening to repair his bike. Another link. All of these links so important to the final goal of success. Another mix-up with Mr. Toland, sent to the wrong hotel that particular night. So then, after a few contacts the next morning, Mr. Toland was able to meet with the veteran, and AMVETS offered to take him to a bicycle repair shop in Athens, make sure that the payments were made for the repairs, and also gave him a Walmart card so that he could get some supplies. Can you see how each link was vital to the success, not only to the issue to be solved, but also a witness to each person involved in the process? Time after time after time, people thanked us for our mere intervention to assist this person. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you about Amber. She's the day's attendant, or days in attendant, who was so helpful and cheerful regarding all that we had requested from her. And as I talked to her, I learned that her mother was sick. Another link that would have never happened if we hadn't received the original call. So after we finished our transactions, I told Janie about her mother and asked if she would pray with her. As Christians, we should always be available. That's our job. That's our witness. To be available after a long day at work, or step up to the plate and assist others when needed. So if you see an elderly man on a bicycle with white hair and a white beard, and it won't be me, wearing a God is good yellow hat, traveling along life's highway, remember that he found not only a good night's sleep in Jackson, people who were able to step aside for their own needs and meet his needs, and all were blessed who assisted him in his quest. So if you're looking at a chain, or God is good hat, or a bicycle, try to remember that each link is vital to the success of the adventure. God bless. Until next time.